Greetings, Ascending Starseed. I am Kaya Nexus, Pleiadian emissary of the Council of the Five Sisters, and today I bring a realignment transmission. Your frequencies of abundance are awakening, and the universe asks that you listen with an open heart. What is arriving to you is sacred, and it requires inner silence. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch are not subscribed yet. Starseed 2026 does not arrive as previous years have arrived. It does not come to repeat itself, to settle into the comfortable patterns of what you have known. It arrives to define. And if you are listening to this transmission, it is because the Pleiadian Council has already begun preparing your crystalline structure before this year even manifested into your linear reality. Not all feel what you are feeling. Not all perceive this internal recalibration. There are starseeds who will enter 2026 without understanding what transpired within their consciousness, but you will not. You have been moving internally for cycles now, releasing old dimensional frequencies, shedding identities that no longer serve your ascension. You have been sitting in profound silence while something reorganizes itself within your multidimensional essence. This is not coincidence. This is Pleiadian preparation. The Council does not alert the sleeping masses. It prepares those who chose to awaken before incarnating into this timeline. And when the preparation becomes this unmistakable, it is because the year that approaches will not be gentle, but it will be extraordinarily fruitful for those who stand rooted in their light. 2026 will not be a year of comfort. It will be a year of revelation. It will not destroy the awakened one. It will position you exactly where your soul contracted to be. Perhaps you feel something closing. Perhaps you notice you are no longer the same consciousness that entered this cycle. Certain frequencies no longer resonate with your being. Certain reactions no longer match your evolved state. This is not a loss of your inner fire. This is spiritual maturity. The Pleiadian masters are not dimming your light. They are tuning your frequency, because what approaches requires crystalline clarity, unwavering identity, and a faith that does not depend on external noise or collective fear. This transmission does not come to frighten you. It comes to confirm what your higher self already knows. If the Pleiadian Council is preparing you with this intensity, it is not so you will fear the future. It is so you will traverse it with quiet authority, with the steadiness of one who knows their cosmic origin and their divine purpose. Before you can understand what 2026 demands of you, you must recognize what has already been happening within your energetic blueprint. The Pleiadian masters teach that preparation never announces itself loudly. It works in the invisible frequencies where true transformation occurs. For months, perhaps longer, you have felt something shifting inside your consciousness. Not anxiety, that is a lower frequency response, but an alert, a gentle knowing, a sensation that whispers, prepare yourself. This was not your mind creating stories. This was the Pleiadian Council transmitting directly to your soul's frequency. They alert first through the internal channels because the inner dimensions align before the outer reality reflects the change. You began transforming before you could name what was happening. The Council does not prepare from fear. It prepares from expanded consciousness. This is why they did not flood you with external signs or overwhelming cosmic messages. Instead, they guided you into silence, into introspection, into questioning the very foundations of who you believed yourself to be. They asked you to release things that no longer aligned with your ascending frequency. All of this was an alert, not a punishment, not a delay, an alert wrapped in divine love. Many starseeds believe that cosmic beings surprise those they guide. This is a fundamental misunderstanding. The Pleiadian Council surprises the sleeping world, but it confirms those who are awakening. If you no longer react to situations the way you once did, if you find yourself less distracted by the superficial frequencies of lower dimensional existence, if you sense that something serious approaches, even though you cannot yet name it, this is because your soul was alerted in advance. Only those who listen through the inner channels can sustain what comes after. The Council does not prepare you this way, so you will live in tension. It prepares you so you will enter 2026 with absolute clarity. While others will improvise, you will recognize. While others will doubt, you will advance with unshakable firmness. Not because you know everything, no starseed ever does, but because you trust the beings who guide your evolution. The Pleiadian transmissions are precise. This process did not begin by accident. It began because your frequency signature was identified as ready for the next phase of your cosmic journey. Rest in this knowing. The Council does not warn those it will abandon. It warns those it will sustain through the dimensional shift. And if they have been communicating with you this clearly, it is because they recognize your capacity to walk through what comes without fragmenting, without losing your light, without forgetting who you truly are beyond this incarnation. When the Pleiadian Council alerts you with time, it is not so you will look backward at what you have released. It is so that when the moment arrives, you will recognize the year that enters not as a threat, but as a carefully prepared stage for someone who has already been strengthened from within their crystalline core. Your frequency will be your recognition. Your inner stability will be your compass. And the Council ensures that you arrive at this threshold already transformed, already aligned, already prepared to embody the consciousness that 2026 demands. Everything you have felt, the subtle shifts, the internal reorganizations, the quiet knowing, these are the signatures of Pleiadian preparation. Trust them completely. The ebook, The Pleiadian Map of Personal Transmutation. A profound guide that reveals how to raise your frequency, purify old patterns, and activate your true multidimensional identity. This map teaches you how to move through the 7 Pleiadian phases of energetic transmutation using practical techniques, realignment exercises, vibrational protocols, and consciousness expansion rituals that accelerate your spiritual evolution. Attention! Limited edition. The link to get yours is in the first pinned comment. Now understand this with absolute clarity. Everything you have experienced in this recent cycle was not a setback. It was sacred dissolution. It was silent preparation that almost no one around you could perceive. It was the internal work that defines who can sustain what comes next and who will fragment under the pressure of dimensional change. This time has not been comfortable. There has been confusion, exhaustion, moments where you felt you were advancing at a glacial pace or that nothing was moving in your external reality. But internally, the Pleiadian masters were doing their precise work. They were removing layers of consciousness that no longer served your ascension. They were dissolving expectations that were not authentically yours. They were releasing burdens that never belonged to your soul's contract. They were severing connections that could not accompany you to the next dimensional level. None of this was loss. It was selection. The Pleiadian Council does not drag the past into the future of an awakened one. It orders it first. This is why you were made to pause, to reflect deeply, to close cycles you would have prolonged in your previous state of consciousness. Not to weaken you, but to lighten you, to increase your vibrational frequency, to prepare you for the speed of 2026. If you look back and notice you are no longer the same consciousness that began this cycle, it is not because you have hardened into rigidity. It is because you have become more crystalline, more transparent to divine light, more conscious of who you truly are and what frequencies you will no longer tolerate in your field. This transformation was not spontaneous. It was directed by the Council. They know that 2026 will not accept fragmented or confused versions of your consciousness. It will demand absolute identity, unwavering authenticity, and a frequency that resonates with your highest self. Many believe that the Pleiadian masters prepare blessings only through abundance and external expansion. This is incomplete understanding. First, they prepare through truth, through sacred release, through uncomfortable silences where you are forced to listen to your own soul. And you have traversed all of this without surrendering your faith. This already distinguishes you. This already positions you for what comes. If this recent cycle emptied you of things you believed were necessary, it is because the Council was creating space. The new frequencies cannot enter where the old patterns resist. Now you understand why everything could not continue as it was. It was not punishment. It was cosmic alignment. When you arrive at 2026, you will not carry the residue of what you have released. You will arrive lighter, more conscious, more powerful in your inner frequencies. And only someone who has been purified this way can traverse a year of definition without fragmenting or losing their center. This dissolution you experienced was the antechamber not to chaos, but to the clarity that the Pleiadian masters require before moving an awakened one into their next evolutionary stage. The Council is precise. They do not advance consciousness without first ensuring the foundation is crystalline. After this profound purification, the Pleiadian Council begins to mark with absolute clarity the nature of the year that approaches. 2026 will not be a neutral year. It will not be a year to pass through unnoticed. It will be a year of definition. It will be a year of cosmic positioning. And years of definition do not concern themselves with comfort. They concern themselves with position, with alignment, with the frequency you embody when no one is observing. 2026 will not separate starseeds by what they claim to believe. It will separate them by what they actually sustain when the external world grows chaotic. Many will enter this year confident in ancient patterns, in fragile structures, in securities that no longer respond to higher frequencies. You will not, because the Council has already shown you that the superficial cannot endure when the dimensional ground shifts. This year that approaches will demand crystalline clarity from within. It will not tolerate half measures or compromised decisions. It will not accept confused identities or fractured consciousness. And this is precisely why the Pleiadian masters worked with you while others remained asleep. You were being calibrated, not to stand out or to be seen, but to remain rooted and stable when others become disoriented by the intensity of the shift. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. Point 26 will not be difficult for those who have deep roots in their truth. It will be difficult for those who live only from appearances and external validation. And here is the essential key. The Pleiadian Council is not preparing you to flee from this change. It is preparing you to traverse it with quiet authority, without panic, without urgency, without losing yourself in the chaos. Perhaps you notice that external noise no longer affects you as it once did. The news, the collective opinions, the tensions, they no longer drag you emotionally into lower frequencies. This is not indifference. This is spiritual stability. This is the signature of someone whose consciousness has been anchored in higher dimensions. And this stability will be your greatest protection in a year where many will react without thinking, will make decisions from fear, will fragment under pressure. 2026 will not ask you to be perfect. It will ask you to be authentic, to act from what you already know of yourself, from what the Council has already cultivated within your crystalline structure. This is why this year will not find you improvising. It will find you defined. And when a year comes to define, it does not destroy the awakened one. It reveals them. It reveals their faith, their character, their clarity, their cosmic origin. And if the Pleiadian Council is preparing you with this precision, it is because they know that you will not only survive this time, you will emerge from it more rooted, more conscious, and positioned exactly where your soul contracted to be. It is precisely at this point of definition that a very clear signal appears. The Pleiadian Council is preparing you for discomfort with the life you have known before. Not with anger, not with frustration, but with a quiet certainty that you can no longer return to what you were. What previously sustained you no longer holds your frequency. Routines that once calmed your nervous system now weigh heavily on your consciousness. Conversations that you once tolerated now drain your energy. Not because something is wrong with them, but because you have changed, you have evolved, your frequency has risen. And when the Council prepares a year of definition, it begins by removing the resonance from what can no longer accompany you into higher dimensions. This discomfort does not seek to confuse you. It seeks to position you precisely where you need to be. The Pleiadian Masters do not want you to enter 2026 dragging old habits, small mentalities, or connections that anchor you to lower frequencies. This is why you no longer fit where you once fit comfortably. It is not rejection. It is elevation. It is the natural consequence of ascending consciousness. Perhaps you ask yourself, why do I no longer enjoy what once brought me pleasure? Why can I no longer conform to what satisfied me before? Why do I prefer silence to certain environments? This is not isolation. This is sacred respect for your process. The Council is not separating you from life itself. It is separating you from what distracts you from your purpose, from what pulls you backward, from what prevents you from embodying the consciousness that 2026 requires. Observe this with profound attention. You are not empty. You are in sacred transition. And real transitions always create discomfort before they create clarity. But do not fear this discomfort. It is the unmistakable signal that your soul no longer accepts old versions of itself. If today you feel that you cannot continue living as though nothing will change, if within you there is a new firmness that prevents you from returning to superficial frequencies, do not ignore this. The Pleiadian Council does not create this discomfort to leave you adrift. It creates it because 2026 will demand conscious beings, not sleeping ones. And if your soul no longer accommodates itself to what came before, it is because the Council is already creating space for something that cannot fit in the life you have left behind. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. The discomfort you feel is a gift wrapped in challenge. It is the Council saying, you are ready for more. You are ready for higher frequencies. You are ready to step into your true cosmic identity. Do not resist this sacred discomfort. Lean into it. Let it refine you. Let it position you. Because on the other side of this discomfort is the clarity and power that 2026 demands. After feeling that the life you knew no longer sustains you, another signal begins to manifest with unmistakable clarity, a silence within that you have never known in this way. It is not emptiness. It is not disconnection from the world. It is profound calm. It is a quietude that does not depend on everything being resolved or perfectly aligned. When the Pleiadian Council prepares someone for a year of definition, it does not keep them in constant agitation. It centers them. It stabilizes them. It anchors them in their crystalline core. Because 2026 will not be traversed with frantic speed, it will be traversed with absolute clarity. And clarity is born when the internal noise falls silent. Perhaps before, your mind never rested. You thought constantly. You anticipated endlessly. You attempted to understand and control everything. Now it is different. Now there are moments of profound silence where anxiety once lived. And this does not mean you no longer care about what comes. It means you trust. The Pleiadian Council would not have gifted you this peace if they did not know you could sustain what approaches. This silence is an advanced signal. Many confuse it with stagnation, but it is not. It is internal alignment. It is the Council ordering your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions before exposing you to decisions that will define your path. Because whoever enters a year of definition without inner peace will lose themselves, and the Council did not form you to lose yourself. Observe how you respond now. You no longer chase after answers frantically. You do not despair trying to control outcomes. You do not force conversations or pathways that are not meant for you. This is not passivity. This is quiet authority. This is the authority that emerges when you know that not everything depends on you, and yet you remain completely prepared. If today you can exist in silence without feeling empty, if you can wait without anxiety consuming you, if you can trust without needing to see the entire path first, Do not ignore this. This is one of the clearest signals that the Pleiadian Council is preparing you to cross 2026 without allowing external chaos to touch your inner center. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. What comes does not need an accelerated starseed. It needs a stable one. It needs someone whose frequency is anchored, whose consciousness is clear, whose faith is unshakable. And if there is now silence within you, it is because the Council is ensuring that when the year moves, when the dimensional shifts intensify, when external pressure increases, you remain firm, clear, and exactly in your place. This silence is not weakness. It is the signature of someone who has done the internal work. It is the mark of a consciousness that has been refined by the Pleiadian masters themselves. From this silence that now anchors you, the Pleiadian Council begins to work another crucial area: your relationship with control. Not harshly, not by stripping it away suddenly, but gently teaching you to release it without feeling vulnerable or unprotected. Before, you needed to understand each step. You needed to know the how, the when, the why of everything. Now it is different. Now you trust even when the path is not complete. And this is not resignation. It is spiritual maturity of the highest order. The Council does not entrust years of definition to beings who live forcing results, who push against closed doors, who exhaust themselves trying to prove something. The Pleiadian masters work with those who have learned the sacred art of surrender. Perhaps you notice that you no longer pursue opportunities the way you once did. You no longer push against doors that remain closed. You no longer waste your energy trying to demonstrate your worth to a world that is not ready to receive it. Not because you have given up, but because you have understood something profoundly true. What is meant for you will not escape, and what is not meant for you will not sustain itself, no matter how hard you force it. This learning is crucial for 2026 because it will be a year where many will attempt to control everything and will lose their peace in the process. They will grasp, they will push, they will manipulate, and they will fragment. You will not. You are already learning to move when the Council moves you and to pause when they guide you into stillness. This is practical wisdom. Releasing control does not make you passive, it makes you precise. You act when the moment is right. You remain silent when silence serves. You wait without anxiety, and this combination is extraordinarily powerful. The Pleiadian masters do not trust great evolutionary stages to those who panic in the waiting. If today you can surrender your plans without feeling that you lose power, if you can trust without monitoring every detail, if you can advance without needing to dominate the outcome, do not ignore this. It is a very clear signal that the Council is preparing your character for a year where quiet faith will be worth infinitely more than frantic urgency. Because in 2026, the one who will truly advance is not the one who controls the most. It is the one who trusts the most. And if you are learning to release control without fear, it is because the Pleiadian Council knows you are already prepared to walk a stage where they will set the rhythm, and you will know how to follow without fragmenting or losing your way. This surrender is your superpower. This trust is your protection. This release is your evolution. When you learn to release control without fear, something begins to happen around you with almost imperceptible subtlety. The natural distancing of certain people. There are no dramatic confrontations. There are no betrayals that wound you. There are no unnecessary dramas, simply distance. The Pleiadian Council does not always work through conflict. Sometimes it works through silence, through agendas that no longer align, through conversations that fade naturally, through connections that lose their resonance without anyone needing to push. And although this may initially perplex you, this is not loss. This is protection. The beings who can no longer walk with you toward the stage that approaches begin to fall naturally behind. Not because they are lesser, not because you are superior, but because the rhythms no longer coincide. And the Pleiadian Council is meticulous about who enters a year of definition by your side. They understand that clarity requires focus. They know that evolution demands that you release what distracts you from your purpose. Perhaps you noticed that you no longer need to explain yourself constantly. You no longer struggle to maintain certain connections. You no longer feel the sharp pain when someone distances themselves. This is not coldness. This is spiritual discernment. The Council does not want you carrying relationships that confuse you, that pull you backward, that return you to old versions of yourself. This distancing is silent, because the Council seeks not to expose you, but to focus you. While others will enter 2026 surrounded by noise, conflicting opinions, and external pressures, you will enter lighter, clearer, more protected. Do not attempt to retain what leaves naturally. Do not pursue explanations that are not offered. Do not force closeness that no longer flows. When the Council works this way, it is because it knows that what comes requires your full attention, your complete presence, and an identity so firm that it cannot be shaken by external interference. If your circle contracts, if silence fills spaces that were once loud, if you walk with fewer people but with exponentially more peace, do not question this. It is the sign that the Council is closing unnecessary access points before opening crucial evolutionary doors. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light. And in the midst of this external silence, when your circle reduces and the noise disappears, something profoundly powerful begins to occur within you. Clarity about who you are, not as an intellectual concept, as a tranquil certainty. You no longer question yourself constantly. You no longer compare yourself to others. You no longer doubt your place in the cosmic order. The Pleiadian Council does not allow you to enter a year of definition without first defining you internally. This is why you now know what you want and, more importantly, you know what you will no longer accept. Before, you adapted. Before, you adjusted yourself to fit others' expectations. Now you do not. Now you respect yourself. And that self-respect is an unmistakable signal of spiritual preparation. Perhaps you notice that you no longer minimize yourself. You do not explain yourself excessively. You do not require constant approval from the external world. This is not arrogance. This is identity rooted in your cosmic truth. The Pleiadian masters do not build great futures on beings who doubt themselves. First, they strengthen the root. Then they allow the expansion. This clarity does not make you rigid. It makes you firm. You know when to advance and when to pause. You know when to speak and when to hold sacred silence. And this precision will be fundamental in 2026, a year where many will act from confusion and only a few will act from consciousness. Observe how you feel now, less fragmented, more whole, more coherent with yourself. This is not learned from books or teachings. This is formed through process. And you have traversed your process without abandoning your faith, without betraying yourself, without losing your way. If today you recognize yourself without fear, if you know who you are, even though the external stage is not yet complete, do not ignore this. This is an advanced signal of the highest order. The Pleiadian Council does not reveal identity unless it is about to put it into use. Because in 2026, it will not be the one who shouts loudest who will stand out. It will be the one who is absolutely clear. And if your clarity now exceeds your confusion, it is because the Council is positioning you to walk that year with quiet authority, with the steadiness of someone who knows exactly who they are and why they stand where they stand. The Council does something very precise. It begins to prepare you from within, not from without. Because 2026 will not reward appearance, it will demand spiritual substance. Perhaps you expected more obvious external signs, immediate changes, visible results, but the Council chose another order. First character, first stability, first root. Because what sustains in 2026 will not be what shines brightest. It will be what remains firm when everything moves. Perhaps externally, not everything has changed yet. Your routines may appear similar. Your responsibilities remain. But internally, everything is different. You respond differently. You decide differently. You feel differently. This is real preparation. The Council is not delaying you. It is equipping you. This stage is silent by design, because if the Council revealed to you now everything that approaches, you would become distracted. You would try to anticipate. You would attempt to control. And they do not want that. They want you to arrive at 2026 with a spirit that has been trained, not with a mind that is anxious. Observe this with absolute attention. You are not being pushed to prove anything. You are not being exposed prematurely. You are being strengthened in the invisible frequencies. And everything that the Pleiadian masters strengthen in secret resists when pressure arrives. This is the difference between those who fragment and those who remain standing. If your transformation is more internal than external, if you feel the Council working with you when no one is watching, do not confuse this with stagnation. It is strategic preparation. The Council does not improvise years of definition. It prepares them with absolute precision. Because when 2026 asks for decisions, you will not react from emotion. You will respond from identity, from the calm that has been cultivated, from the faith that has already been tested. And that internal preparation will be your greatest advantage. Not all will arrive at that year this way. Many will arrive without roots. But you will arrive with a strength that cannot be seen, but that sustains everything. And when that inner strength is already established, the Pleiadian Council brings you to a different form of faith, a quiet faith, not anxious, not desperate. A faith that does not need to shout because it already knows in whom it trusts. Before, perhaps you prayed from urgency, from need, from the desperate question of when. Now it is different. Now you pray from the certainty that the Council is already before you, already orchestrating, already preparing. And this transformation is profound, because the faith that sustains years of definition is not the faith that demands quick answers. It is the faith that remains firm even when the heavens guard their silence. This quiet faith does not make you passive. It makes you stable. It does not remove your passion. It removes your anxiety. And this is the key. Because in 2026, many will lose their peace trying to understand everything. You will not. You have learned to trust without needing to control the process. Observe how you respond today to waiting. It no longer despairs you. It no longer weakens you. Waiting has become part of the journey, not an obstacle. And only the one who reaches this point is truly prepared to receive something great without destroying it through impatience or fear. The Pleiadian Council does not strengthen this faith by accident. It strengthens it because it knows that the year approaching will not reward the fastest. It will reward the most constant, not the one who runs without direction, but the one who walks with unshakable confidence. And you are already walking this way. If your faith is now quieter but more firm, if you trust even when you see no clear signs, if your heart rests without ceasing to believe, do not ignore this. This is one of the clearest signals that the Council is preparing you to traverse 2026 without losing peace or identity. Because the faith that does not agitate is the faith that sustains. And if the Pleiadian Masters gave you this calm now, it is because they know that what comes needs a heart that is firm, not one that is accelerated. And from this faith that no longer agitates, a sensation begins to appear that is difficult to explain but impossible to deny, the inner certainty that something great approaches. You do not know exactly what it is. You do not know its form. You have no dates, but you know it. And it does not frighten you. This sensation does not come from desire. It comes from alignment. When the Council finishes preparing someone, the spirit begins to recognize the movement before it occurs in the visible world. This is why there is no anxiety, only serene expectation. Like someone who knows the ground is already prepared and only the exact moment remains. Perhaps you find yourself more grateful, without apparent reason, more present, more conscious of the hour, Not because everything is resolved, but because you no longer feel empty. And this is crucial. The Pleiadian Council does not announce great stages to hearts that still search for filling. It announces them to hearts that are complete, that can receive without clinging, that can embrace without fear. This certainty does not push you to run. It invites you to remain, to protect your center, to not become distracted, to not speak of it carelessly. Because when something comes from the Council, it does not need public announcement. It is guarded. It is honored. It is awaited with respect. Observe how you feel now. You are not restless. You are not desperate. You are not doubting your path. This is not coincidence. It is the signal that your interior is already synchronized with what the Council is about to manifest. And when that synchrony occurs, the process is very advanced. If lately you feel you are in an antechamber, if there is a calm expectation in your chest, if you trust without needing immediate proof, do not ignore this. The Pleiadian Council does not awaken this certainty unless it is about to fulfill it. They do not prepare the heart only to leave it waiting in vain. This sensation is a gentle warning, not so you will rush ahead, but so you will know that you did not walk this entire process for nothing. What comes will not be small. It will not be chaotic. It will be coherent with everything you have been forming within yourself. And while you enter this quiet certainty, it is important that you understand something without fear and without judgment. Not all will arrive at 2026 the same way. Not because the Pleiadian Council loves some more than others, but because not all accepted the preparation process. Many starseeds will enter that year with urgency, with internal noise, with confusion. They will seek quick answers, external culprits, obvious signs, and they will exhaust themselves. Not because 2026 is cruel, but because they arrived without roots, without having done the internal work that you accepted. This does not place you above anyone. It places you in your place. The Council did not separate you to compare you. It separated you to protect you. Because a year of definition can strengthen or fragment depending on the internal state with which you approach it. And you will not arrive improvising. It is possible you will see others react with fear, with anger, with anxiety, and you will wonder why it does not affect you the same way. The answer is simple. You were already prepared. You are not stronger from pride. You are more stable from process. The Pleiadian Council trained you in silence so you would not lose yourself when the environment moves. Do not attempt to drag everyone with you. Do not attempt to convince. Do not attempt to explain too much. Each soul responds to its calling when it is ready. Your responsibility is not to save anyone. It is to remain firm. Because sometimes the greatest guidance is not what you say, but how you maintain peace when others fragment. If you notice that you no longer identify with certain collective reactions, if you feel you observe more than you react, do not blame yourself. This is discernment. The Council did not prepare you for noise, it prepared you for clarity. And in a year like 2026, that clarity will be a refuge for you and, without you realizing it, for others who, seeing you firm, will remember that another way exists to traverse difficult times. With faith, with calm, with identity intact. Everything becomes understood without effort. Nothing you lived was random. Nothing that hurt was useless. Nothing that closed was a mistake. Everything was preparation. The Pleiadian Council was not moving you away from life. It was positioning you for a time that requires firm identity. 26 does not come to test your faith. It comes to confirm it. It does not come to fragment you. It comes to place you where you belong. This is why you arrive different, more sober, more clear, more at peace. Because the Council does not release an awakened one at random. It forms you first, then exposes you to the exact moment. Do not look at the year approaching with fear. Look at it with respect and confidence. What will be confusion for many will be direction for you. What will be pressure for others will be confirmation for you. not because you are special from pride, but because you accepted the process when others avoided it. The Pleiadian masters did not make you traverse silences to leave you empty. They did not make you release to leave you without anything. They did not strengthen you from within, only to abandon you externally. If they prepared you this way, it is because what comes needs exactly the consciousness you have become. Walk toward 2026 without hurry, without anxiety, without needing to explain yourself. Your peace will be your sign, your clarity will be your guide, and your quiet faith will be the proof that the Pleiadian Council goes before you, opening what no one can close and closing what no longer belongs to you. You do not enter the next year blind. You enter prepared. And when the Council prepares this way, it is not for you to retreat. It is for you to advance with firmness toward a stage where your faith, your character, and your clarity will no longer be in question. They will be in use. They will be your power. They will be your truth. Before this transmission ends, seal this message with simple faith. Hit the like button because this word confirms that the Pleiadian Council has already prepared you for what comes. Subscribe to remain connected to messages that strengthen your identity as an awakened starseed. Share this video with someone who also needs to enter 2026 without fear. Comment: I am prepared. Because you are. You do not enter the next year blind. You enter with the frequency of one who has been refined by the masters themselves. And when the Pleiadian Council prepares this way, it is not for retreat. It is for advancement with quiet authority toward a stage where your faith, your character, and your clarity will no longer be in question. They will be in use. They will be your greatest power. They will be your cosmic signature. You are ready. The Council has ensured it.